Fam, what's up? It's Kyle Henderson. Good morning to you. I appreciate you guys being here. Run the thumbs up on these videos. Bama football on YouTube. Often others try to be like Bama football on YouTube, but this is the one, right? 100,000 subscribers. We're close to it. We appreciate you guys. I continue to see more and more people hitting the morning spot now. It's crazy, right? It's like the trendsetter. I got you. Because remember, we used to be in the nighttime, then everybody jumped to the nighttime. Now I see everybody going in the morning time. It's cool, man. I appreciate you guys. There's a lot to dive into, and I appreciate you guys. If you guys think this is the number one channel for you guys, where you guys are at, then definitely hit the thumbs up. I see all the guys now in the morning time, right? My goodness, jeez. Oh, man. All right, so Kevin Steele. The call-in line is open, by the way, 205-850-1994. Lots of things to talk about. So we start with Kevin Steele, and he was set to retire. We spoke about that yesterday. And after kind of thinking about it, I think a lot of people knew that it was going to happen, right? I think this 1-year deal for Coach Saban, under Coach Saban and his regime, he was going to be here for 1 year, and then he was going to retire. The thing I don't think that we thought was how big of an impact he was going to have at Alabama from the jump, right? 1,000,000%. I mean, this defense was the defense that we had been longing for the past several seasons under Pete Golding. So I think it is a loss for Coach Saban and his staff losing Kevin Steele, but at the same point, I think it was part of the plan overall. I mean, Kevin Steele did a really great job here at the University of Alabama. I really was excited to cover him for 1 year. This was his third time back to Alabama, and now he is set to retire. So as we turn the page to who is next to replace Kevin Steele, I think the easy fit-in would be Travaris Robinson, right? T-Rob, already the defensive backs, the secondary coach here at the University of Alabama. I think he's done a really good job, not only with Alabama's defense, but on the recruiting front as well. So maybe Lane Kiffin was right when he said that somebody else seemed to be calling the plays for Alabama. Look, I think the main defensive coordinator is Coach Saban, but I think that, overall, T-Rob could be, maybe he was elevated throughout the season. Maybe he was given more responsibility. I think there's a lot of people that are calling for T-Rob right now, so it makes a lot of sense. I'm curious to see if Coach Saban goes in-house for his defensive coordinator position. Give me a thumbs up if you think that Travaris Robinson will be a good fit for Alabama's defensive coordinator. Yeah, Javion's like, they can't copy respect. It's crazy, man. Everybody now hitting the morning spot. It's part of it. And I think it's also amazing too. It's like a lot of people that used to work for me they start like their own channel. I'm happy for them. I think they're doing a good job. So a lot of content creators in this space, and I'm sure Coach, when Coach Saban looks to his coaching staff, you got to replace your defensive coordinator, and you also have to replace your outside linebackers coach, right? Coleman Hutzler, who is going to Mississippi State as their defensive coordinator. I think those two areas of concern, is something that Coach Saban is certainly working on now. And then, Bama Online is also reporting that DJ Durkin could interview with Coach Saban soon. That would be interesting to see if that does go down. I guess he was supposed to interview with him yesterday, or it could be today. DJ Durkin, a former Texas A&M defensive coordinator, and all the stuff along with DJ Durkin as a defensive coordinator. So that could be a potential name to watch as well. And then remember, you have George Hilo that Alabama added. He was at Alabama, and then he went to Michigan, and then he was back at Bama right now. And I guess from what Coach Saban said about Hilo is that he was a special assistant to Coach Saban. So those are the things that we're watching right now. But I think in terms of kind of the recruiting that's a good question. Who is going to be the next wide receiver coach? I think Coach Saban's certainly working on that as well. And so those are the three places that you have to fulfill. You have your defensive coordinator, your outside linebacker, and thanks to Noah, your wide receiver. I think Travaris Robinson, 100%. Yeah, Samuel inside the comment box is like, why not T-Rob? Yeah, so he's already a huge fan, from the player's perspective. He's done an amazing job helping out on the defensive side, does a really great job recruiting. So those are the key elements that you want to be, elevated coach. So I think if T-Rob does get a shot, I think he'd do a great job for Alabama. So maybe he is kind of just a slide and fit. Let's take some calls this morning. 205-850-1994 is the call-in line number. And then I also wanted to get your take on Kendrick Blackshire hitting the portal yesterday, and then Malik Benson has committed to Florida State. And then also the AP top 5 was released following Michigan's win over Washington. I'll take your thoughts on the national title game, too. I watched that. In the first half, I thought that Michigan was just going to run for like 500 yards in this game, and then Washington made some good adjustments. So the final AP top 5 reads like the Michigan, Washington, Texas, Georgia, Alabama, Oregon, and Florida State. Man, they just threw Alabama behind Georgia. It was crazy. I guess they forgot about the SEC championship. None of this matters anyways. I mean, but it's funny. Like, Alabama took Michigan into overtime. And I think Michigan, for the most part, had their way. I think Washington played a better second and third quarter. But in the fourth quarter, Michigan pulls away. Michigan's defensive front was nasty. That number 55 for Michigan, my goodness, that guy was all over the place. He was beating everybody up. And number 73 for Washington, their tackle, he was like Alabama's Seth McLaughlin, right? Man, that guy made a ton of mistakes. It was like the 2 holding calls, and he did something else late in the game. All right, let's take some calls. 205-850-1994 is the call line number. 512, let's get it. Hey, good morning.
Yes.
Thanks for calling in. You're on the
Roll Tide, Kyle.
what's up, man? You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Yeah, this is Jay Townsend. I'm calling from Round Rock, Texas. Watch your show quite often. I just want to make a few comments. Yeah, first of all, about that ranking. How in the world could they put Alabama below Georgia and Texas? I mean, Texas never had a chance against Washington, and then Alabama played Michigan, I mean, tough.
Yeah.
We lost the game. They didn't win the game. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
But as far as the defensive coordinator, I don't know if I'm correct. Well, I say T-Rob, but I'm saying if not T-Rob, am I wrong about about Jeremy Pruitt? Didn't he just have to be out of college for 1 year, even though he got 6 years for that fraction?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things first of all, I appreciate you calling in. Thank you very much for calling and joining the show from Texas. And your first thoughts about the college football playoff rankings or the final rankings for the season. Yeah. Alabama should have, it doesn't matter where Alabama's ranked right now. I mean, Michigan won the national championship and that's kind of it. But where they slotted Alabama behind Georgia, I don't really understand that. Whatever. I mean, they still have, Florida State up in there and Oregon at the number 6 spot. It doesn't matter. I mean, whatever. Just kind of interesting to see how they still put Georgia over Alabama. And then regarding Alabama's defensive coordinator position with Jeremy Pruitt, there's a lot of things going around with Jeremy Pruitt. Can he come back? Can he not come back? And I think if he can come back, Coach Saban will be able to bring him back in some capacity. But I think considering the violations or whatever it was, with Tennessee, I think he kind of has to lay low for a little while. I don't know if it's a particular year or not, but we can dive into that. I think that's a really good question about Jeremy Pruitt, because I think overall Alabama fans would love to see Jeremy Pruitt come back to Alabama to run the defense. So right now I'm leaning towards T-Rob being like the favorite, but there are some other names that are being thrown out there, and Jeremy Pruitt certainly is one of those.
Yeah, Mel Tucker wouldn't be a bad choice either, I don't think. I think he was set up as far as that, and I think he's going to end up winning his case against them as far as getting his money. And that girl, they found all kind of skeletons in her closet.
Yeah, that was the other thing too. I think if Jeremy Pruitt going through his stuff off field, Mel Tucker going through his stuff off the field, and I think if those things are cleared out and they will, in time when those things have passed. I think Mel Tucker could be a guy if he is cleared of all that stuff. Then I think he would be a good addition as well. Someone inside the comment box just said Charlie Strong. I love this addition as well. Charlie Strong, I don't know if you guys know this, but he's been an analyst here at Alabama for the past 2 seasons. I recently just saw him at the Rose Bowl. I think he would be a great defensive. He's already in the room at Alabama helping out the Alabama defense. So I don't know if he gets an elevated role of some capacity. I don't know if he jumps from an analyst to a DC. But if he was to, for example, help out with the linebackers or something like that, be elevated, I think that would be a really good addition. So he's like right there. People have thrown out other high-ranking names like Bill Belichick. I think he's a favorite to take the Falcons job. So I don't know, but T-Rob makes the most sense to me. I like Charlie Strong. I do like Mel Tucker if all that stuff is cleared out, and same thing with Jeremy Pruitt. I mean, if those guys are able to coach at this level and, everything's cleared up on the back end, yeah, why not? I mean, those are some of the best defensive minds in college football right now.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm gonna give room for somebody else to come in. Roll Tide.
Yeah, Roll Tide to you, man. I appreciate you calling in. Thanks, buddy. All right, see ya. All right, we got a 832, a 601. It looks like we got Demetrius on the back end. Kyle Henderson and Bama Football on YouTube. Brother, thumbs up on these videos. I appreciate you guys being here. Last night, Michigan is able to defeat Washington in the title game. I think kind of when I looked at everything, I mean, Michigan's defense was great the entire season. I think that their defensive front was a lot better than we gave them credit for. I mean, they really beat up Washington. Thankfully, Washington did some things there in the second quarter and the second half to make that game a little closer than it was. But Michigan had the momentum. Their running backs were really dynamic. Last night, J.J. McCarthy's a really good quarterback, and Michigan ends the season 15-0. What will Jim Harbaugh do? Will he stay coaching Michigan, or do you think he'll head to the NFL? Let me know inside the comment box. Michigan certainly, did their thing last night against Washington. I felt that Washington, for the most part, was outmatched. I think Penix, he was under a lot of stress because of Michigan's defensive front. I mean, those guys are just big and nasty. Talking Alabama's potential next defensive coordinator, kind of seems like it would line up for T-Rob to be the guy. You also have to replace the outside linebacker. You also have to place outside linebacker coach and Coleman Hutzler, and then you also have to replace Holman Wiggins, the wide receiver coach. Bama Online is reporting this morning that DJ Durkin could interview with Coach Saban. I don't know if that's for the DC spot or for another spot here on the roster. So taking your calls regarding that, along with Kendrick Blackshire hitting the portal, Malik Benson committing to Florida State, and then the final AP top 5, where Alabama ranks 5th behind Georgia. We take an 832 right now. Hey, good morning. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Good morning, Kyle. This is Mike in Austin.
Hey, what's up, Mike? I knew Happy New Year to you, man. I know we hadn't caught up in a minute. So thanks for calling in. I appreciate it. Hope you're off to a good start this new year.
I am, Kyle. Same here. I hope you have a great year coming up, a good, successful year. But, this past football season, I think overall Bama had a good season. They didn't have an outstanding season, but they had a good season. And as far as as far as Michigan goes, it's they're you can watch them play and tell they're a very good, well-coached football team. They don't miss many tackles. They don't have any out-of-position plays, anything like that. So, I say congratulations to them. Heck, they beat Alabama. And so, yeah. But overall, like I said, Bama had a good year, Kyle, but it wasn't a great year. And as far as Milroe goes, leading up to the championship game, I was a little worried about Milroe because it seemed like that he had just had the wrong kind of chip on his shoulder a little bit. Maybe it's just me, but like I say, that's just what I saw lead up to the game.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point. Like, how will we remember this last season in 2023? I think I'll remember it as a high anxiety season where Alabama showed a lot of improvement and then regressed in the last game of the season. It was frustrating overall. Thanks for the super chat, Jay Townsend, sending it in and say, I believe Harbaugh will go to the NFL since he's finally won a championship. I can see that. It was a good moment last night where him and his brother are on the line or on the sidelines, kind of embracing each other. And then at the end where Harbaugh, is lifting up his parents into the end. I mean, I'm sure they're super proud of both of their sons, with, Baltimore Ravens also killing it. But I think when I look back on the 2023 season, it was frustrating. And there was just, I think a good way to label it would be it was a overachieving, inconsistent team. Because I don't think at the beginning of the season that many people thought they would get to the playoffs, and then just the inconsistencies eventually were able to end Alabama's season. I mean, they just couldn't perform at a consistent level throughout the season. I mean, we saw glimpses of what they could be against Georgia, and then with the time off, they regressed to back to a middle of the season team against Michigan, and it just wasn't enough. All the offensive line stuff that we're going to remember. I mean, this was a really overhyped offensive line at the beginning of the season. They were the biggest, bigger than NFL teams, and then they underperformed. They were slow to begin the season. They got better, and then the missed snaps were sliced the head off of Alabama, unfortunately. So it was a frustrating season overall, but I think they did punch over their weight at times, but overall it was just too inconsistent.
I agree, Kyle. It was inconsistent. It was a very challenging season. There's a lot of stuff they had to overcome from the word go, like the offensive line, figure out who the quarterback was, the other skill positions, and some wide receivers were dropping the ball. Remember all that? So they did have an inconsistent season, and Bama did overachieve a little bit. I mean, I know it's Bama, and I know we're supposed to only lose 2 games max. I know that, but where Bama started and where they ended up, I mean, it was kind of night and day a little. But that Michigan game, I mean, it was a little disappointing because Bama was winning, and remember, going into the fourth quarter, with only 3 or 4 minutes left, Bama was winning. Then Michigan scored the next 10 points of the ball game, some in overtime, and won the game. So it was a disappointing game, but, I mean, Bama, in my opinion, just got beat, man. They just got beat. I mean, Bama only put up 250, 260 yards of total offense, which is pathetic, but I don't know. We'll see. But the future's bright. The future's bright, Kyle, for Bama and Bama football. I mean, as far as the defensive coordinator, real quick, I really don't know. Like the names you mentioned, very possible, yes. But Nick Saban always surprises me with the hires. I'm surprised he hired Kevin Steele to start with, and now he's going to, Kevin Steele's retired, which I agree, So, and as far as the transport portal goes, big brands like Bama, Ohio State, other big brands like whoever transport, they get people from the transport portal. They benefit from it more than lose from it, I guess, because people want to go play for them big programs. But Bama always they lose people to the transport portal, but they always seem to come out on top, with people that we bring in. Anyway, Kyle, thanks for taking my call, man. Keep up the good work, dude. And I'll keep in contact with you this off season.
All right, man. Take it easy, Mike. I appreciate you, man. All right, Mike calling in with the quick call from Austin. I appreciate it, man. Good to hear from Mike. Always like catching up with him in terms of the college football breakdown. Kyle Anderson of Bama Football on YouTube. I appreciate you guys being here, catching up with me, following the college football national title where Michigan is able to defeat last night. Michigan finishes out the season 15-0 a couple weeks ago, or actually a week ago. They were able to beat Alabama in overtime. And I think when you look to that game, you're like, man, Alabama had that game. Alabama was leading Texas, who they lost to. Alabama was leading Michigan, who they lost to. It just, didn't come together, and it's all good. I mean, I don't worry about the rankings today. What's up, Jax the Kid? I see you inside the comment box, man. What's up? Yeah. So Jax and I just recently met at Target. I was checking out and Jax came up to me, said, "What's up?" It's always good to meet different people, that I link up with. I mean, I meet people out in Los Angeles, here in Tuscaloosa. It doesn't matter, man. I appreciate you, Jax, and thank you so much, man. It was good to rap with you, and I hope you have a fantastic 2024 season. So if I see you out like in Tuscaloosa or wherever, don't feel like I'm not a celebrity or anything like that. Just like you, honestly, I was doing yard work yesterday. I'm doing the same thing as you. This is just my full-time job here on YouTube. So come up and let's chop it up if you see me out there. We got, let's see who else we have in the call queue. We got a 601, Demetrius 331, and a 602 coming up next right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Yeah, I'm not worried about the rankings where Alabama is right now. I mean, everybody was hating on Alabama throughout the season, and they didn't win the national championship. It's all good. You focus on 2024. We can't continue to look back on what was in 2023. That'll drive you crazy because that season was about to drive everybody crazy, right? The entire ups and downs of the season, the anxiety. But the thing was, a lot of those guys grew up specifically on the offense. So I know there's a lot of holes to fill on the defensive side. You got the corners, the outside linebackers, the outside linebacker coach, the defensive coordinator, some new guys up at the defensive front. But on the offensive side, I mean, we're going to have a video about that, talking about the returners. My goodness, did all of those sophomores grow up and started playing like juniors at the back end of the year? I know it wasn't the best performance, but you think about the experience that those guys got this season coming back in the next season. So I really like the offensive side. And other than Holman Wiggins, I don't really see too big a loss. I mean, I think Jermaine Burton is certainly a loss, but you have wide receivers that can come up and that have already shown that they're proven, that they're capable. You have Malik Benson transferring out, but it's more about, Isaiah Bond, Kendrick Law, Kobe Prentice. I said this, he was pissed after the game. He was probably the maddest guy. I think he was the maddest walking off the field, and then the most upset, he was like really emotional. Wasn't crying, but he was just like, he was emotional, was Will Reichard. He's like a man already. You know him. Missing him and him not winning a national championship out of all the times that he's been here at Alabama or this last season, it's got to hurt. I mean, he's one of the leaders of the team. He wanted to come through. He played really well throughout the stretch. I'm going to miss Will Reichard. And you're like, who's behind him? It's Connor Talty, who will be a freshman, actually a redshirt freshman going into this season. He played a little bit this past season. Actually had a tackle, believe it or not. All right, we go back to the phone lines at 601. Hey, good morning. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with and where are you calling in from?
Hey, good morning, Kyle. It's Jacob Pensacola.
Hey, what's up, Jay? I appreciate you, man. Good morning. Happy New Year to you. I appreciate you calling in on this fine Tuesday morning. Welcome to the show, man. Take it away.
Happy New Year, man. I just want to say, whoever they get, man, I don't care who they get at this point, whoever they get for all three coaches, that I would love to see. I know Alabama is a starting point, is a huge momentum booster for a lot of coaches. Mm-hmm. But I would love to see some consistency. I would love to see coaches last. And I ain't talking about Pete Golden. He should have left a while ago. Mm-hmm. But I just feel like we need some consistency as coaches. We need some coaches that won't be there for like at least 3 to 4 years. Like I know you can start at Alabama, but we need some consistency. And I know Nick Saban can do it with any coach. But I just feel like we need some consistency to just continue to build a momentum. Like I wish Kevin Steele would have stayed another year.
Yeah, me too.
But, I mean, everybody talked about that anyway. His whole point of coming back, and I think Nick Saban did it just to face so he could get his pension and whatnot. But my hats off to him. I appreciate him for what he did. Malik Benson, I wish he would have stayed. I feel like this year could have been his year. Like I said before, I feel like this year could have been his Jermaine Burton year. Jermaine Burton wasn't awesome his first year, so I mean he could have stayed one more year and rocked it out. But it is what it. Blackshire, I feel like he should have stayed. I feel like his time was next. I don't feel like he should have been jumped in the transfer portal, but it is what it is with that. Seth McLaughlin, I'm kind of glad he left, to be honest. And like you said before, I don't understand. Like I completely agree with you. You said if Jalen Murray threw in the interception at the end of the session, he would have got benched. If the running backs kept dropping the ball, kept fumbling, they would have got benched. Like, why didn't Seth McLaughlin get benched?
I know that's kind of one of my questions when you look to last season is. You look to all the substitutions that Coach Saban has made. I mean, look, Jalen didn't play well against Texas. He was benched for that next game. Seth, I mean, I don't know. I mean, what does that say about the centers behind Seth? I don't know. Did Alabama was he clearly he was their best center? Otherwise, they would have done something about it. Otherwise, they would have had cooked up a package for Terrence Ferguson to stay. He didn't. He's in the portal too. So now you have James Brockemeyer. Everybody's been asking about James Brockemeyer. You might end up seeing him. He might, he's closer than he's right here. I mean, if Alabama plays the game today, James Brockemeyer is a guy. Is that good or bad? I don't know. But that's kind of where things stand for the center position. A lot of people yesterday on my show were saying that it could be maybe Ola Celine, the Finland transfer. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know who it's going to be for Alabama's next center, but I can't believe that Skylar is saying it's about loyalty. This is good. This is interesting because Coach Saban, a lot of people like to say that Coach Saban is just about loyalty and he plays these older guys. I don't know if this is, I mean, I think he is loyal, but I don't think he's loyal to a fault. Like, push come to shove, like, Coach Saban will make a decision based off performance. That's what's so confusing about this particular one, right? So I don't know with Seth, but Skylar, that's a good question, asking about or saying that he's loyal. I think he is loyal 100%. But at the end of the day, like, he's not afraid to play the best guys. What else you got, Jay?
I only got one more thing. Like, Michael Penix, 24, been there for 3 years or whatever the case may be. Jalen Murrow's first year starting. So I gave him big trouble. Like, I liked his growth, but I really hope this offseason he works on his reads. He works on reading faster. He works on his mental clock getting faster. That's just where I like his growth, and I just hope he continues to grow. And I feel like this season is going to tell it all. It's going to show us, has he really grown? Has he really been there? Is he willing to go to the next level? Yeah. But that's all I got, Kyle, and I appreciate you.
All right, man. Take it easy, Jay. Appreciate you, man. All right. Roll Tide to you. Caleb is asking about Ola Celine. It's Ola Celine. I'll put the spelling of his name is from Finland. He could be a potential guy to be swapped to that center position. That's what people were talking about, just recently, saying that he could be a guy who switches to the center position. Either way, you need some competition. That's why I'm not worried about, like, the quarterback position. Everybody's like, well, Ty Simpson's staying. He's going to be the starter over Jalen. Look, the starting quarterback, and we said this last year going into the season, is Jalen Milroe. There's nothing wrong with having a really good number 2 and a really good number 3. It's a gauntlet of a season. If you haven't looked at Alabama's next schedule for this next season, my goodness, I think it includes 2 byes. It includes some really good teams throughout the season, at the beginning, at the middle, at the back end. So there's going to be times where you need some other guys to step up. I don't know about the quarterback position, but competition always makes things so much better. And I love Ty Simpson's game. I really do. I like the fact that he's coming back. I think that says a lot about him as a competitor. And I think Mike is right inside the comment box talking about Lonergan. I've told you this story before. I think I'll say it again. At the beginning of the season, there was a group on the staff that felt like Dylan Lonergan was the best guy for the job and wanted Dylan Lonergan, actually not Ty Simpson, Dylan Lonergan to be the starter. It was Coach Saban who was adamant about Jalen Milroe being the guy. That just shows you how good Dylan Lonergan is. Like, Dylan Lonergan is right there. And that's why Eli Holstein had to go out. There was a fan from Pittsburgh that asked, they were like, what do you think about Eli Holstein? He's coming over to Pittsburgh. Look, I think he fits their system better at Pittsburgh because he's more of a pocket-style quarterback. But I think when you're here at Alabama, these quarterbacks that can move around a little bit, that fits the system more for Alabama's offense. Let's take another call. Let's go back to Demetrius. Hey, Demetrius, I appreciate you being patient, man. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, roll tide, Kyle.
Roll Tide team, man.
Still depressed, still under the weather after the game last week. But we must pray and go on. We must pray and go on. Our last caller hit off what I was going to say about consistency with the coaching staffs. And wish they'd stay around a little bit longer. Hate to see Kevin Steele go, but it is what it is. Transfer portal. Hey, that's the monster that they wanted. So we're gonna lose some. We're gonna get some players. I my point I want to make is, uh, everybody keep talking about the inconsistency and not executing. I mean, that's for the last 3 years. It's been like that. I can't pinpoint what the problem is. Whether it's on the offense, not executing, inconsistent play, or the defense. I mean, pick your poison. Once we'll play 1 or 2 good games out of a year. I mean, I look back on the SEC championship game, how we beat Georgia both years in 2021 and this year, and then we're getting there lay an egg like we can't like the season just started all over again. I don't know. I mean, very disappointing. I mean, I watched the game over and over. The same thing that we've been struggling with all year long. It bit us big time in this game. I mean, we the only team that can really be that inconsistent and still make it to the playoffs, win conference championships. And I don't know, Kyle. It's just my mind all 100 different places about this season. I mean, this season coming up, I hope we don't fall into that predicament of, I know everybody want to rah-rah this person, rah-rah that person. I just want somebody that can call a defense. Because that's what bit us with Pete Golden, him and Taj Tapoy. Taj Tapoy, he was a good recruiter, but I can call a better defense than him at that point in time in his career.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we got Pete Golden because of that. Whoever coach get, I hope he can call a good defense and get these players. I mean, I believe everybody should be under evaluation. I mean, Freddie
See,
Roach,
I think
when was the last time we got some pass rush?
I think that you bring up a good point regarding the next defensive coordinator, because there was so much frustration with the defense under Pete Golding, and then Kevin Steele makes a pretty much immediate impact, and you saw things change. Now, Lane Kiffin was the one that said it looked like somebody else was calling the defensive plays, and then during the Rose Bowl, Kevin Steele was asked who the defensive coordinator was throughout the season, and he said, that was my title, but the real defensive coordinator is Coach Saban. So whoever comes into Alabama, and I've said that before, I've said that Coach Saban is always the defensive coordinator here at Alabama, but whoever comes into the fold at the defensive coordinator position, they're going to have a lot of pressure because this past year's defense was really good. And they weren't inconsistent. I feel kind of in that last game, there were some plays that they could have made, this or that, but overall they were more consistent than the offense. They were the staple, the backbone, and I think it was because of their second half adjustments. I think it was because of T-Rob. I think it was because of the defensive minds. Someone inside the comment box, let me scroll up. I'm not sure where it was, but said, what about Charlie Strong? That's Big Slum. What's up? I see you inside the comment box, Big Slum. What's up, man? Asking about Charlie Strong as a DC. I don't know if he'll be a DC, but I think he could be elevated to one of Alabama's defensive coaches. Maybe, who knows? Maybe the DC. I mean, he has a hell of an experience. So I like that. And you got to think that these defensive analysts that are in the back end certainly contribute to the second half adjustments for Alabama. I think that that's why you got to load up on those analysts. And a lot of people have been talking about Jeremy Pruitt or just getting him over on board to even be in that room. I think that could be closer than we think. But I think, some things are going to happen. There's another question another comment inside the comment box. Oh, this is Caleb is saying, by the way, I think Ty Simpson leaving after the portal opens back up if nothing has changed. I absolutely love the competitiveness he's showing. This is great. I love this because so the portal window is now closed, but then you have another opportunity for it to open on the back end of April. And what that could do is that's going to allow a lot of these guys that, they're going to see the competition. They're going to see where they are on the depth chart. Ty Simpson coming back to fight for that starting spot, or where things shake out, or maybe there's another program that could better suit him. I like that, Caleb. I could potentially see that happening, but I love the fact that he's coming back to battle. And, that shows a lot of moxie about the kid. What else you got, Demetrius?
And speaking on that battle, I hope don't nobody get mad at the decision that Coach Saban do make. I can very well see another quarterback coming in and taking over if just so happen Jalen Miro don't progress. I mean, because I'm a tight end, made all conference when I was in high school. I mean, all year long, middle of the field open with the tight end, I mean, as soon as the play snap, there goes tight end on the pass play. And I'm like, is he ever going to hit it? Yeah, every blue moon he'll hit it, but I mean, I love tight ends, whether we blocking, whether we in pass protection or whether we receiving. And hey, I just hope the Bama Nation don't get mad. And what about this? Hey, I'm happy for whoever presents the best opportunity for us to win. Hey, so I roll tide. I'm gonna let you go ahead on. I gotta go around here and face these Michigan fans, the one or two of their deals.
All right,
and
Demetrius.
have to eat my crow. So y'all have a good one.
All right, man. Take it easy. All right, Demetrius with the call, and good to hear from you on January 9th. Kyle Anderson of Bama Football on YouTube. Run the thumbs up, fam. I appreciate you guys being here. Get the thumbs up. Closing in on 100,000 subscribers. I appreciate you guys being here. Skylar coming back in the comment box saying, I would love to see Dylan Lonergan, Kyle. You spoke about him a while back. Yeah, Dylan Lonergan certainly has the tools to be a high-level quarterback. And sometimes, we always talk about kind of waiting your turn here at Bama. It must be so, challenging now, not for, I guess, for players, but I think for parents. Because once parents start they understand fully now that they can get more than a full scholarship, right? They can get cash. And if you're a family that doesn't have money or that can get a big NIL deal in place somewhere else, they're like, forget about the developmental process of the long term of making the NFL, because making the NFL is such a small pinnacle as well, right? So if you can get an NIL deal in place somewhere else, and if your son isn't playing and you're living vicariously through your kid, then why not hit the transfer portal and go somewhere else where you can play immediately? I think that is certainly happening, 100%. I think there's a lot of parents that are behind the scenes that are saying, look, I'm your father, I'm your mother. This is what's best for you, this NIL package for you to play at another school. Forget about the long-term process. Let's get this $250,000, or let's get this, quick meal, or whatever it is. I think that's 1,000,000% happening. And I think the long-term value is declining, and that's hurting the overall process. So the kids that stick it out and can stay in the process and believe in their own abilities, that say, look, it just takes 1 year or maybe 2 years to be under Coach Saban's system. Think about who Coach Saban is talking to. Think about who is calling Coach Saban, and I'm talking about NFL scouts. I'm talking about NFL coaches. I'm talking about NFL GMs. You want to see something really amazing? Come over to Alabama's Pro Day, or at least watch it on ESPN. Watch the Pro Day. Watch how many private jets are flying in of NFL GMs, scouts, OCs from the NFL that are seeing these guys in person. They're also talking with Coach Saban about the next guys in line. So when these guys are quick to pull the trigger and bounce out, I'm talking about the guys who have hit the portal. Sometimes it's not always the best to go somewhere else. Do you really want to go play for a small value? And I don't know what these NIL deals are, but let's say, do you want to leave and go to like a TCU? Or do you want to stay at Alabama for a couple years, sit on the bench, practice against the best, and then get coached by the best and Coach Saban? So, man, that's kind of the way I see it. All right, let's take some more calls. Got a 331. Hey, what's up? Good morning. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
This is Delvin from Chicago, one of your northern fans.
No, I love it, man. I appreciate you calling in, Delvin. It's a beautiful day. Happy New Year to you, man, and appreciate you joining the show. Welcome on in.
Welcome. Listen, I live in Chicago, so I'm gonna give you guys a little perspective on what it is to be a Bama fan outside of Alabama or the South. So I go in Jewel's one day. Jewel's is the equivalent of Piggly Wiggly grocery store. It's the night before the Georgia game.
Got you.
I have my vintage Alabama sweatshirt on. I'm walking through Jewel's. I see this old cat, white cat with the Alabama cap on. He sees me and he makes a beeline towards me. And he comes up to me and I reach my hands out. Hey, man, how's it going, man? He said, roll tide, brother. I reach my hands out to shake his hand. He moves my hand aside and embraces me. And I said, "Oh, man, what's going on, man?" He said, "Man, this is the night before the Georgia game." He said, "Man, I prayed to God to send me a symbol that Alabama's going to be all right tomorrow in the Georgia game." And he said, "Brother, I see you, and I'm so happy because you're a true symbol, excuse me, that Alabama is going to be fine in tomorrow's game." I said, "Oh, man, you're right, man. Roll Tide." I said, "Man, so what part of Alabama are you from?" He said, "Oh, no. I'm not from Alabama." I said, "Oh, what, you have some kids or something? Family members live there?" He said, "Nope." He said, "I'm from River Forest, Illinois." He said, "But my whole family is huge Alabama fans." Now, here's what I'm trying to make you guys understand. I'm walking around in Chicago with a Alabama sweatshirt on. I get stopped on the streets. I get stopped in Starbucks. I get stopped in grocery stores. Alabama brand travels throughout the country.
Yeah.
What people also don't understand is that Michigan, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Chicago is a big Big Ten city. So now that Michigan have won a national championship, all I see is gold and blue everywhere now. And what I'm just trying to make everybody understand is that Alabama football is one of the most respected brands, not only in Alabama, but throughout the country. And what I also want to let Alabama fans know is that don't forget that Michigan team has been playing together for almost 4 to 5 years together. These guys were seniors coming back to win a championship. And Alabama had a lot of new people on the team. So don't get so down on Alabama. I know they was inconsistent, but Michigan was together for a while. I really think that Alabama's going to be fine moving forward. I think the inconsistency, of the quarterback position is what really hurt us. The inconsistency of that offensive line is what really hurt us. If we can fix that, I think we'll be fine going into 2024. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think you bring up a really good point about Michigan and how mature that type of team was, right? There's a lot of vets on that team. They've been together for a while. I don't think you see that from teams now because of the transfer portal and things that are happening in college football. I think it's impacting, the continuity of these type of teams. I think when you look to Alabama, Ringo was saying Jesse Minter as the new DC. No, he's a hell of a DC for Michigan. I think a lot of it was Michigan's defensive front. But I think this particular team, their offense was just too inconsistent. And I think we had someone up in the comment box talking about still the last play of the game against Michigan. I don't know if the stage was too big for Tommy Rees. Sometimes I feel it was. And I think he'll grow up as well. He had some opportunities to do some different things with all of Alabama's weapons. I think he failed to do that. And I think when he analyzes this past season, it's going to be tough for him to look at last season and realize some of the things that he could have done with Alabama's offense. I mean, you have the fastest quarterback in all of college football. You have, 5 running backs that could have done the job. Why keep blaming Tommy? I think because overall the offense wasn't as creative as I think it could have been with the type of weapons that they had. That's why. I appreciate the comment, Phillips. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you, man.
But you think it was creativity, or was it the confidence in the offensive coordinator that he was limited on what he could do based on?
I think it was. I think it was three. I think it was 3 things. I think it was the offensive line was getting beat in some of those bigger games, which didn't allow Jalen Milroe to feel overall comfortable. I think that Jalen Milroe was petrified to throw another interception, which didn't allow him to play at his highest level. And I think that Tommy Rees wasn't creative in terms of getting the football to his major weapons. Kendrick Law, it's a travesty that he didn't get more touches in some sort of some schematic format. Isaiah Bond, maybe some more slant. There was a lot of things that contributed to it, but when you don't have an offensive line that can protect, especially against a Michigan defense, Jalen Milroe is going to be super uncomfortable. I mean, you saw how uncomfortable Michael Penix was last night against Michigan's defense. So I think, you know me inside the comment box saying something about Niblack as well. Yeah, you have all these components. So I think it was kind of a culmination of things. But, Washington tried to go out to the flats and whatnot, but man, that Michigan defensive front was nasty. So you gotta button up the offensive line. So I don't know if Eric Wolford is the offensive line coach. I don't know if he's getting out easy from this, but again, we asked the questions. Why did Seth start all season long? Why wasn't there adjustments made, from the offensive play calling to get some of these other weapons used? Was it a lack of creativity? Because I felt sometimes we were like stuck in the mud, almost like Bill O'Brien was calling some plays sometimes. But then you would get excited because Tommy Rees would do something different, more motions. Michigan did a really great job with kind of motioning their weapons throughout the season. Big credit to them.
Well, but Alabama, to me, they have one of the most balanced teams in college football. They have the most athletic, and I think that athleticism in that Michigan game is what really kept them in it. But I also think the inconsistency of decision-making is what really hurt them in the end. I was almost hoping and wishing that Nick Saban would have pulled sort of like that Tua Tagovailoa move that he did when Hurts wasn't really confident enough to throw the ball.
Yeah.
And, I felt the same thing. It's like maybe put Ty in there for just a quarter, couple plays, something, see where it's, just to open up the field. Because to be honest with you, Michigan was keying on the offensive line, keying on Jalen Milroe, because they knew he probably didn't have confidence to just let the ball go and go through his reads and progressions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, all right, man, Kyle, congratulations, man. I just wanted to share that story with you guys. Roll Tide is everywhere, man. The Chi-Town, man, Detroit, everywhere. So remember, I'm in the middle of Michigan land now. I got the bear for a whole year. So check it out.
All right.
Then. Y'all
take it
care.
easy, Delvin. See you, man. Delvin calling in from Chicago. I need to get up to Chicago again. The last time I went up to Chicago, I had an amazing time. But I'm only going up there in the warm months. I'm only going up there in the summertime, not going up there in the wintertime. I would like to go check out, like in the later spring, like a baseball game with Sox or the Cubs, and check out downtown again. The pier is amazing, but I'm only going back for the warm months. I'm not going back in the wintertime. There's zero chance of that. Everybody's fired up about Tommy Rees inside the comment. I get it. I think you can point the finger at Tommy Rees. I really do. I think he did a good job, but this is his first. Imagine coming from Notre Dame to Alabama and having all these weapons to at your disposal, all these running backs, right? All these wide receivers, Jalen Milroe, all your quarterbacks, having Coach Saban on your ass, right? And you're just like, man, and you're 31 years old. He's going to do a lot of growing up, I promise you. I'm not giving up on him, but I think he's going to have a lot of reflecting to do over these next couple months because he was just a few plays away from helping Alabama win another national title. And I think Alabama 1,000,000% beats Washington. Did you know that Washington had the number 94 ranked defense going into that game last night? Man, so yeah, Alabama was right there, man. They should have won. They should have won the Natty. All right, 602. Let's do it. Hey, thanks for being patient. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I line with, and where are you calling in from?
Brandon Williams out in Glendale, Arizona. How you doing, that Kyle?
Hey, what's up, man? Appreciate you calling out from West, man. I would like to be in AZ right now, and that's the thing that Delvin was talking about. You have Alabama fans all over the country. I see it when I travel. It's amazing to see the different type of Alabama fans. But the Michigan fans, my goodness, they were everywhere. They were like across the world. Two huge brands. But anyways, man, Brandon, welcome to the show. I appreciate you calling in from Glendale.
Outstanding. I deal with it all the time. We got our Alabama following out here in Glendale. We also got our Michigan following out here as well. But to me, I'm like, be the fan where you grew up or whatever you want. I'm from Alabama, so I just transplanted out here to Arizona. But one of the things, back to your original question, DC, I want to talk about that real quickly.
Okay.
I got a unique twist to who the next DC should be, only because we got Charlie Strong, we have T-Rob, and we have Nick Saban. These are all defensive-minded guys, all in one. And I don't think Charlie Strong will ever, I don't think he's going to come up from an analyst spot to be the DC right now. So I was saying, throw a twist and everything, and Nick Saban been known to do this. I would go after Jimbo Fisher, meaning in a number of different twists, because it would show that Nick Saban has no real animosity what took place with the whole conversation, all the stuff that took place with Jimbo and Nick Saban, but also recruiting would be up. And that's when we lost Holman Wiggins to Texas A&M. We lost the top recruiter, and we need recruiting back at the at the precipice where it used to be. And knowing that you got Jimbo Fisher in there to come in, along with Nick Saban's tutelage, he's been under Nick Saban's tutelage before. He knows what he's capable of bringing in. But most people don't realize recruiting is the lifeblood of college football, and he's a big-time name, big-time recruiter. Imagine how many people from Texas A&M see that would start looking at Alabama as a top recruiting spot, a top spot to be in again. Another thing, the offensive coordinator, we can question all the coaches. We can say stuff after a loss. So I don't never question a coach after a loss. They're getting paid to do the job. But what I can say is, coming over to Alabama, taking on that offense, it's like taking on a pristine sports car. You got to not just learn how to drive it. You're going to have to drive it well. You're going to take you a little time. And so the offense coordinator his first year coming in, guys, it's pretty tough to take on that offense and know all the weapons you got and put it all together in his first year. I think his next year is going to be incredible. And I think, going in, I don't think Alabama have anything to worry about. Roll Tide.
And Roll Tide to you, man. I'll answer on the other line, Brandon. Appreciate you calling in, man. Thanks. Brandon out from Glendale talking about Jimbo. Look, I don't think that Jimbo is going to be in the mix for the defensive coordinator position at Alabama. The good news would be if you bring Jimbo over, you wouldn't have to pay him. Right, you could he'd be like, okay, Jimbo, look, we're gonna give you another shot to come back to the college football world, but we're not going to pay you. What was his buyout? What was it, like 75 mil or something like that? Is that what he got? That would be crazy. You come back. But the reason Brandon was bringing it up is because Coach Saban and Jimbo certainly have history. They won a national title together. They're at LSU. I think right now Jimbo is not a name because of just everything that happened at Texas A&M and the way that it crashed and burned. So you kind of give Jimbo some time to kind of cool down. Not saying that he's not, a top, because I'm sure if you ask Coach Saban about Jimbo Fisher, I'm sure he'd have a lot of positive things to say about him. And you have to think Texas, and he could recruit because and he could buy players too. But Texas, their defensive front was very nasty. They were very difficult to deal with for Alabama. And regarding Alabama's offense, I think Brandon makes a good point too, is like, I don't know if you've ever had a sports car, like an elite sports car, it does take you a while to drive it. That's why I think that like Tommy Rees is going to be okay when he has his quarterback coming back, when he has 3 of his top wide receivers coming back, when he has 3 out of his 5 offensive linemen coming back, when he has all of his tight ends coming back, when he has the running backs coming back. I think that he's going to feel much better as a OC this next year. And I think Tommy Rees, the ceiling is still really high for him. I'm not ready to kind of throw him away. I still believe in Tommy Rees. I know it was kind of frustrating watching him grow, but I think with him coming back, I think that he'll be ready to go in 2024 for sure. All right, 973, let's do it. All right, thanks for being patient. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who on the line with and where are you calling in from?
Kyle, Chris from New Jersey.
What's up, Chris? I appreciate you double dipping this week, man. Appreciate you being here on this fine Tuesday, man. Welcome to the show.
Well, I have a prediction regarding the DC.
Okay.
And hear me out because it's a little. So I think T-Rob is going to get elevated to defensive coordinator.
Love it.
Now, we have to do a little research when we comes to coaching trees, and you remember Belichick was from the Bill Parcells coaching tree. Saban is from the Belichick coaching tree, right? So, and these coaching trees, they have one thing in common: they're thick as thieves. They all take care of themselves. Everybody thinks that that there was all this bad blood between Parcells and Belichick, and there might have been, but yet they hired each other's coaches all the time, and Saban does the same thing, right? So Saban is the rehab a genius. He rehabbed Sark, he rehabbed Lane. Both of them had a foot out of coaching, right? So here's my thought. My thought is that, and lo and behold, what's Jeremy Pruitt been doing all year? Does anybody know? He's been working as a defensive assistant for D-Bowl in the Giants. Mm-hmm. So, and that's the start of the rehab. So
yes.
I see all of a sudden you're going to see quietly, T-Rob is going to get elevated to DC.
Yep.
Quietly, they're going to bring Jeremy Pruitt in. Now, I know that they say he has to sit for a year. He can't go, blah, blah, blah. He'll be quietly, he'll be a part of the team. And that'll be, and he and T-Rob and Strong can that's a great situation. Of course, they have Saban, the greatest grad assistant in the history of grad assistants. So, and then I have one minor prediction, so don't hold me to this one. But if Belichick decides to sit out a year and not coach this year, I think one of his two sons will be the defensive back coach for Alabama. So that's a little minor prediction. So, and then, what's interesting about Tommy Rees, and I've been critical as well as everybody else, but I'm going to say this. You know what Tommy Rees has been doing since the Rose Bowl? He's been in the film room studying every game and he's been studying every Ole Miss game, and he's been what was the old the second year the offensive coordinators that's when they get their national championship, except for Bill O'Brien. Well, watch, Tommy Rees is going to get his national championship next year, and I hope we can go all of us can go be there and go out to dinner right after it.
I just asked chat inside the comment box, which coaches, can you guys, let's get a list going. Which coaches have been in the Coach Saban rehab center? One that jumps off the top of my mind is Coach Loxley. And the reason I say him, not to throw any of these guys under the bus at all. Oh, Butch Jones is another guy, right? Add him inside the comment box, because Sark, yeah, thank you, Skylar. Sark. He's probably the most notable for sure. Check this out. So when
Lane Kiffin,
so when I first moved up to Tuscaloosa, it was in 2016. Okay, so right at that point, Coach Loxley was the head football coach in New Mexico for 3 seasons. It had the worst run in New Mexico. I think he only won like 1 game. Okay. And then he got fired, and man, New Mexico they threw him under the bus in every single way that they could. So he shows up in the Malmore facility, and I was walking up in the Malmore facility as well. And he was like, "What the hell are you doing in Tuscaloosa?" And I was thinking the same thing. I was like, "What are you doing in Tuscaloosa?" So he was one of the first coaches, and you look at him, he was a defensive analyst, and then offensive analyst, and then worked his way up to wide receivers coach, and then bounced out, now the head football coach at Maryland. But I think the great points are like Sarkisian is a great success story. You look at what happened with him at USC, and then he had to go to Atlanta, and then from Atlanta back to Alabama, lay low, got elevated, did some amazing things here at the University of Alabama before leaving to Texas. And now he's at Texas. They could pay him whatever they want. So I was thinking about other coaches kind of up in that rehab facility. I'm trying to think of other names. There was a couple others that were thrown in. Butch Jones is another one. You see him now as a head football coach, but he came from Tennessee, and he was a special assistant to Coach Saban. So a lot of these guys come in, but you're right. You bring up that fact that a lot of these coaches are super tight, and they do have – it's interesting because Alabama does have this little connection to the New York Giants. I mean, really to everywhere, but I see like Burton Burns, not to say that he was in the rehab facility, but once he left Alabama coaching the running backs, he went up with the Giants. I just saw him the other day at the grocery store. He's probably back in Alabama. I don't know if he's retired or whatever. You look at Brian DeBall. He went out there. Jeremy Pruitt doing some defensive work out there. So there is some connections on the back end. I don't know what will happen with Bill Belichick, where he'll go. I assume he's just going to be another head football coach. Major Applewhite, that's a really good one. Brian DeBall, that's a really good one. There's so many guys in that Saban Rehabilitation Center that go out to do great things. What else you got, Chris? And I like your
That's
I like
it.
I like your predictions,
I'm
by the way.
I'm loving the call-in shows again. So,
Yeah.
and I was lucky to get 2 in a row.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Call in anytime, and we'll catch up with you next time, man.
Thanks, Kyle.
All right, late.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide to you. All right, next up we got Sean, Coach Sean calling in. Coach, what's up, man?
Kyle, what's up, bro? How are you?
Oh, I'm doing amazing, man. You know, I sent out all the coaches a text message yesterday. I sent Coach Sean, Coach Smoot, Coach Jarek, caught up with Ty Hayes because I want to kind of gravitate more towards a couple projects during 2024. So Coach Sean and I are going to get together, but today we're just catching up on the phone. I know you guys love Coach Sean's work. I do too. Does such a great job. Coach, hope you're off to a really good year, man. Welcome to the show.
Man, I appreciate you, brother. Happy New Year to everybody out there. Hope everybody had a great holiday, man. We're blessed. You know what I mean? Game didn't end like we wanted to. But, hey, on to next year, right? On to next year.
That's right. What do you think about this defensive coordinator spot, Coach?
So, listen, that's what I wanted to comment on real quick. That's why I had to call in real fast. I had to come out here and call real quick. Let me get somewhere where it's nice and quiet. So, to me, it's only one hire you can make. I mean, I know it's several hires you can make, but to me, it's only one true hire that you can make, and that's T-Rob, and I'll tell you why. T-Rob is already on staff. You know what I mean? He had a significant role in calling plays this year. While he didn't call plays with Kevin Steele, obviously he was involved with the game plan to the max. He went on most of the recruiting trips with Coach Saban. It's the young guy who the players really, I know for a fact, really gravitate to. He's probably the best recruiter on that staff. He knows defense. He's been a defensive coordinator before. Back when he was with Coach Muschamp at South Carolina, had a great defense that year. Offense, there's no quarterback that year. Very popular on staff. You know, I think you have to give it to this young man. DJ Durkin, it's a 4-3 guy. I don't think that really fit Alabama. I'm sure he can conform to our scheme, but I wouldn't want to skip over T-Rob, man. This is a very up-and-coming young man. Several schools that want him. Several, one being in Athens, Georgia, for positions. So we don't want to hop over T-Rob. That guy is in the line. He's an up-and-coming young man. The players love him. Recruits love him. All these camps, the players flock to the young man. He knows the scheme inside and out. Very aggressive style on defense. So for me, it's hands down T-Rob. Now, they may or may not go in that direction, but I would really hate for us to jump over that young man, considering his role this year and the resurgence of our defense. No more Pete Golding years, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's T-Rob. You got to go with T-Rob. You don't want to go with the young man saying something about Belichick. The thing about it is, man, college football is totally different nowadays, guys. It is not college football from 10 years ago, 5 years ago. I can even go so far as to say college football today is not even college football from 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So you definitely want to get someone, kids today have every reason to go to Alabama, and in the same time have every reason not to go to Alabama with NIL, with all these other enticements and things. So you want to get a coach that the young man can relate to, the young man can vibe with, and can feel comfortable. Bill Belichick is a great pro coach, right? The NFL is about moving the chains, right? 10 yards. You give me 5 or 10 yards, I'm good. The college football is totally different. It's recruiting. It's relationships. It's almost begging kids to come play with you. I know that sounds crazy, but it is. It's it's a totally different game. So you definitely want to get a college football coach that understands the lifeblood of what recruiting is, that understands this game is totally different than the pro game when it comes to kids. Those are grown men. You tell them what to do. This is your job. Here it is. These are young kids still. Even with NIL, these are still 16, 17, 18, 19-year-old kids. So you want to get a coach that understands that. So for me, it's T-Rob, hands down.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a really good point. I mean, somebody who the players can vibe with, who they feel comfortable with, somebody who's already on staff, somebody who's already been elevated in the sense. You mentioned that he played a significant role this year, 100%. So I think having somebody who's already been calling the plays inside the locker room, helping that defense grow, I think he's monumental. You look at all the secondary players coming in, too, that are young guys. I certainly think it'd be impactful to have him not only from the recruiting standpoint, but from the X's and O's. I think that he's ready. You look at his career. I mean, he's ready. He's right there. And I think for those calling for Bill Belichick or whatever, I mean, great NFL coach. I know things are with the Patriots right now are sideways, but these NFL guys, the problem with them is when you go, whether the offense or the defensive side of the ball, they don't like to recruit. They're used to dealing with men who are 26 to 32 years old or whatever the sweet spot is for the NFL. Brian DeBall, he didn't live too far from me. He hated recruiting. Those guys do not like to recruit. They do not like to play the recruiting game. And as you said, it's a world of almost. I'm gonna mute you real quick, Coach Sean. There's a little bit of interference. I'll unmute you in just a second. And when you have you have to build those relationships. I mean, and right now more than ever with the NIL, recruiting. College football has certainly stopped or certainly changed within the last. Man, you bring up a really good point. Within the last 2 years, think about from this year to like 5 years ago, how much college football has changed. 1,000,000%. I think T-Rob is certainly the guy that can certainly help you continue with the times. And I think he did a really good job this past year for Alabama. I'm going to unmute you right now, Coach Sean. Go ahead.
I agree with you 1,000%, Carl.
Yep.
I agree with you 1,000%, man. It's to me, you have to have that balance. You have to have that balance as far as, communicating with kids that still going to class, kids that still sort of immature when they come in, most of them, right? Not grown men that understand and have been to NFL symposiums and understand that this is a job now. These kids are still kids. Some of them just got their license a year and a half ago, right?
Uh-huh.
So you got to really have somebody that can really mentally vibe with these kids and make them understand the pluses in playing football at Alabama and the realness of what you're going to be facing the first day of practice, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think you have to go with somebody like T-Rob, man. But listen, I know you got other callers, Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to call in, man, and give my little spiel right quick.
Mm-hmm.
Love what you're doing as always, brother. We got your back as always. Roll Tide to everybody in the chat. Like, subscribe. We're going to really, really blow this thing up. We're not done with content just because the season is over with, man. Love what you guys are doing. T-Rob for defensive coordinator. Love to have an offensive of a wide receiver coach from Ohio State, which I know Brian Hartline is not leaving Ohio State. But I would love to have somebody like that, a LSU guy, a Washington guy, somebody that has really coached up the wide receivers and has had a successful wide receiver group. We could pay Brian Hartline, boy. Hey, that would be awesome. But he's an Ohio State guy, so I know that's out of the question. But Roll Tide to everybody out there. T-Rob for me. And we'll wait to see what happens.
All right, man. Talk to you soon, Coach.
All right, appreciate you guys.
All right, man. That was Coach Sean calling in. Yeah, I think Conrad inside the chat was asking about update on the wide receivers coach. We don't have a wide receiver coach yet, but as Coach Sean was saying, you look to the wide receivers who have been balling out the last couple years. I mean, I think this year Alabama's wide receivers were certainly up there, but I look to LSU's wide receivers, Ohio State's, their wide receivers have been electric. Even I felt Texas A&M's wide receivers were really good this past year. You look at kind of some of the groups, Washington's wide receivers, but a lot of it was kind of the schematics of how Washington used their receivers as well. Now, those guys were long and lanky top wide receivers, but Alabama's next wide, whoever, you imagine coming in as a wide receivers coach this coming year to coach up these wide receivers, right? You're like, oh, good to meet you. What's your name? Isaiah Bond. Good to meet you. What's your name? Kendrick Law. What's your name? Cody Prentice. What's your name? Emmanuel Henderson. Emmanuel Henderson, from what I was told during media day, had a fantastic Rose Bowl showing. And I think what held him from getting onto the field was that early season injury. But yeah, Emmanuel Henderson should absolutely be a beast. You have Jalen Hill coming in as a young freshman, and then you have these other freshmen. that have just signed: Rico Scott, Amari Jefferson, and then Ryan Williams. And we're all waiting. We're actually, February 9th is when he's going to sign. So for the next, whatever days, we're going to be talking about Ryan Williams. Ed Kelly, inside the comment box, I appreciate you saying almost 3,000 players transferred in 2022. Of those, 33% did not find a destination. Of the 67% who did, about 30% of those were not given a scholarship. Yikes. Wait, just sit tight. Trust the process. Be committed. Stay at your program. If you're at Alabama, trust Coach Saban's process. Man, but I think a lot of parents sometimes driving the ship now, in my opinion. 201, let's do it. Hey, thanks for calling in. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on line with and where are you calling in from?
Hey, Kyle, it's Adam calling from Georgia. How you doing?
Hey, what's up, Adam? Good to talk to you on this fine Tuesday, man. Excuse me, and welcome to the show. Go ahead, man.
Yep. Thanks a lot. I just got 2 brief points. Number one, as far as defensive coordinators, why not just throw money at Jesse Minter? I mean, he is that good. And, you can buy players, they say, but you can also buy defensive coordinators. I mean, if we doubled the salary and, maybe that would happen. But regardless of that, I guess my second point is, we need a defensive coordinator who can really focus on developing the players' intangibles, like their discipline, their focus. What I saw in the Michigan-Alabama game is that Michigan's defense, they were more mentally focused, and they didn't make as many mental errors. And being able to coach those intangibles is one of the toughest things to do. So my question for you is, who do you think might be able to do that so that we can, ultimately be in a position where we don't lose to Michigan, because we should have won that game. But I think the intangibles are lost it for us.
Yeah. I mean, like I was talking about with Coach Sean, you need a coach that already has strong relationships with these current players that are on board. And I like that, like the developmental process, but I think we're losing that because of, the quick, like, if you don't play me, I'm leaving. The players who do stay and who are developed for, 2 to 3 years, I think that's going to be a rarity in college football. That's why I think like Coach T-Rob makes the most sense, because the players are already familiar with him. It looks like he was elevated in some capacity calling the defensive plays. I like the addition of Charlie Strong in the back end from the seniority standpoint. So you have T-Rob, who's a younger type coach who can do your recruiting, be kind of the face of the defense, but then you have Charlie Strong in the back as a mentor to him, right? So you have Saban up at the top mentoring Coach Strong, and then Coach Strong mentoring T-Rob, and then Coach T-Rob mentoring the other players, coming up in the pipe. I think that sets up well from an organizational depth chart, because when you're looking at coaching and when you're looking at the organizational process, you kind of look to who's on top and how it does trickle down. So from the defensive side, I really like that setup, right? Coach Saban, right. Maybe a Charlie Strong. That's why Charles Kelly, who I think is going to Auburn now, he was somebody good in the back end to provide that mentorship, because I think when you get into that defensive room, you have your defensive analysts that are providing a lot of information. And then the guys kind of out front are the guys who are doing the jobs with the actual players. Hattie May is saying blown coverages in the secondary on the last drive was disappointing. Look at the wide receivers that Alabama faced this year. They were certainly challenged, but I think the secondary overall did a really good job, like for the entire year. And a lot of people are going to have difference of opinions on Kool-Aid, and we still really haven't dug up those Pro Football Focus grades yet on Kool-Aid overall. But I think the secondary did a really good job, especially like you look at the developmental process. Who was working with Caleb Downs this entire year? It was T-Rob. So that's why I think it makes a lot of sense to have him as an in-house hire. And David, we don't really have an update on the wide receivers coach as of yet. When we do have more on that, we will bring that to you. People were talking about Terrell Owens. I think that was kind of more of like on their wish list. I don't know how much reality is to that, but people might be talking about that because T.O. did come and like work out at Alabama a couple times within the last couple years. I think he was working out with some wide receivers or whatever. And then Car Conversations is saying totally forgot about Mel Tucker. Yeah, Mel Tucker, if he can figure out all that off the field stuff, and I think there's still some legality things that are being, finished out, why not? I think that could be, someone interesting. But again, all that has to be taken care of. And of course, Coach Saban is going to do his due diligence in terms of who he brings to the program to be around these young athletes. What else you got, Adam?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you. And my last point is just that I think of two plays from the Michigan game, the 4th and 2 and one of their touchdowns. I mean, how do you let Blake Corum come out of the backfield uncovered? And then they did it again. So we need a defensive coordinator who's going to ensure that doesn't happen and make sure the players have that mental discipline. And I don't know who that's going to be, but hopefully we'll get the right one. Thanks for a great show, Kyle. And,
Yeah.
I hope you do more of them because you always have great analysis.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Thanks so much, Adam. I appreciate the support, man. Talk soon.
All right, take care.
All right. All right, we got a 310-631-470 and a 661 coming up next on Bama Football on YouTube. I appreciate you guys being here. Run the thumbs up on these shows. Appreciate the super chats as well. I think we got a couple in here. We have one from Jay Townsend earlier. Claire, thank you very much for the super chat. Toast, sorry I missed that, man. Some toast sounds good right now. Wait till after the playoffs and call Julio about the wide receiver coach. Can you imagine Julio coming back in, one of these former wide receivers, right? Sorry I missed that, Toast. My bad. Yeah, we don't have an update on who Alabama's wide receivers coach or potential candidates could be. Brock is asking about Jeremy Pruitt. I think Jeremy Pruitt could be in play in terms of an analyst of some capacity. I don't know in terms of the overall DC. Looks like kind of the favorites right now are T-Rob and maybe Charlie Strong in some capacity. But, I think that sometimes, I kind of go back to Ellis Ponder, who is the operations director for the Alabama football team. This guy probably has one of the most stressful jobs. And I remember when they had Kobe Bryant come in to talk to the team, I'll always remember this. Ellis Ponder, they were talking about, man, like Coach Saban can get Kobe Bryant to come speak to the team. And he was like, Coach Saban's Rolodex is like all the names and numbers, is a lot bigger than everybody else's. So can you imagine kind of the depth, the reach that Coach Saban can do to bring somebody here for the DC? And I think the DC right now probably running about $2.2 million. I think that is probably like the highest paid defensive coordinator. So if you want to go a little bit higher than that, 2.4, 2.5, that's a lot of money. I think Tommy Reese, what is he making? 2.1. When in New Mexico did you enjoy the green chili sauce? Oh, when I was in New Mexico, did I enjoy the green chili sauce? Let me tell you, I am been back to, and I'm going to get to my next four callers, 310-631-470-661. Look, I don't get back to New Mexico that often, unfortunately, probably like once a year because the news never stops. I get on an airplane and they're like a coach changes or somebody's the backup quarterback or whatever. But I went back to New Mexico and I hit all my spots. I got the burritos and all my green chili. I do red chili in the morning and green chili in the evening time. But man, my stomach, I was in trouble. I haven't been there in a long time, so I was hurting. But it was really great to see my family and stuff like that. I feel energized and ready for 2024. 310, let's do it. I appreciate you being patient. You're on line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on line with and where are you calling in from?
Yeah, my name is Randy. I'm calling from LA.
Hey, what's up, man? I appreciate you calling. What'd you say your first name was?
Randy.
All right, Randy. What's up, man? I appreciate you being here from LA. Just got back, man. I was out there. I love Cali. Used to live there. It was good to be back and definitely miss it, man. But welcome to the show, Randy. Go ahead, man. Take it away.
Yeah, so after looking at the Natty game, I came away more impressed with Jalen Milroe, just seeing how Michael Penix struggled against Michigan. But, my biggest question with Nick Saban is, you're at the end of your career. So do you really want to entrust, the twilight of your career with, Tommy Reese calling plays in these type of games? Because when I look back, the game planning going into that game, there were just no adjustments made. And you could see, even with Washington, Michigan was giving up those short routes. You could have taken advantage of that because they were just playing off coverage. They just were not going to give you the deep ball at all. And you look back on it, it's almost throwing away another national championship just because of who you chose to call plays. I hope he can improve. I saw some things that gives me hope that he can improve. But I just want to know, what do you think about that?
I think that yeah, you bring up a really good point. Is like Coach Saban getting to the later part of his career. Are these the guys that he wants to surround himself with? I think yes, because Coach Saban is always into not only development of the players but also of the coaches. Like he's into mentorship, and I think he sees a lot in Tommy Rees. Now, I will say this: I don't think that Tommy Rees was his first. Was on his number one. I think he was probably like the second or third guy that he wanted. Not to take anything away from Tommy Rees. I think he wanted the OC from Washington, and I think the OC from Washington turned Coach Saban down. So then you have Tommy Rees. So I think that will do a really good job as he continues to mold his career. I think the stage was too big for Tommy Rees overall. That Texas game. Other games throughout the season, he was kind of up and down. So, yeah, I think Coach Saban wants these guys around, but I think this next hire for the defensive coordinator position is going to be monumental because the defense has a lot of holes to fill, right? The outside linebackers, the corners, and not to say that Alabama doesn't have guys that you can just plug in, but this next hire I think is going to be really important. And I think this next guy has to be here for more than just 1 or 2 years. I think he has to be here for 2 or 3 years. So that's why I kind of like T-Rob. T-Rob seems like he's a younger guy that can be here for a couple years to grow with his defense. I don't know, because Tommy was already mentioned for jobs, in Indiana, and I don't think he ever thought about those type of jobs. I mean, why would you? Who wants to go coach the offense at Indiana? I don't know. Unless maybe for the basketball, but yeah. And Jonathan, you're right. T-Rob is an Auburn alum, but that was way back in 2003. So yeah, I don't know. I look at that game last night, and I look to some of the adjustments that Washington tried to make, and I don't think that Washington had the overall talent to deal with Michigan specifically up front, but I think they did the best job that they could with getting the football out. Penix is a baller, but he was under a lot of pressure as well, just like Jalen Milroe was. I mean, Michigan's defensive front was just outstanding. So that's a really good question about does Saban want to surround himself over these next guys? I would say yes, but this next hire at the defensive coordinator position I think is monumental.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Enjoy LA. Someone who was it inside the comment box said that they didn't think I was coming back from LA. I love LA. I'm telling you. Me says he didn't think I was coming back from LA. I love LA. I do. And it's not like I'm like a Hollywood type, but I like the weather. I like the food. I like the big city. But I do like it here in Tuscaloosa as well. Like, don't get it twisted. This is my kids are here. They're adjusted here. It's a small town, but it felt good to kind of get out and go to different places. Adam with the super chat, the secondary allowing Corum to go uncovered for the touchdown and the 4th and 2 was inexcusable. We need a DC who will develop the players' focus and intangibles. Yeah, I appreciate you calling in earlier, Adam, talking about the development of the overall players. Look, can't take away a lot from Michigan as well. I mean, just like Delvin from Chicago said earlier in the show, I mean, this is a team that had a lot of experience. J.J. McCarthy's played in big-time games before, and Blake Corum's a big-time running back. So is their other running back. My goodness, what they have, 229 yards rushing in the first quarter. Really, really impressive. All right, let's go back to our next call, 631. I appreciate you calling in. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with and where are you calling in from?
Hey, what's up, Kyle? It's AJ.
What's up, AJ? Welcome to the show, man. Appreciate you calling in.
What's going on, man? Listen, man, I haven't watched any sports or any football. I did not tune into the national championship. I'm still sick over this loss. Man, you watch the game, you rewatch the game. As much as we got manhandled and outcoached and outplayed, we were up, and they had to come back to win the game. That's what's most sickening about it. We got outplayed and outcoached, and we were up. They had to come back and beat us, and I don't get it. And I always say Alabama gives up big runs. Our thing is we stop them, and then a big 30, 40-yard run. It's. I said that in the chat before. I've been watching this team all season. They're disciplined until they're not. They're disciplined about 85% of the time, and in that one time they're not, it's a big 50-yard run. It's a big 60-yard run or 30-yard run, and it makes me sick. I'm still not a believer in this quarterback. I don't see what people see, man. I'm really trying. Kyle, I'm talking about Kyle. I went into these playoffs so positive. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'm being too rough on this kid, and maybe this third-year player. Maybe I'm being too rough on this kid. Maybe I'm no. He's an amazing athlete, but that's not a quarterback. And people, I hear you on your show. I disagree with you, of course. I disagree with your callers who talk about, oh, next year Heisman. No, he's not a quarterback. He's not a quarterback. He cannot read defenses. And I don't care about QBR and all these ratings talking about. We've seen it. Drop back. He doesn't know when to run. And when he runs, he's indecisive. And then that big fumble, which is not his fault, kids fumble, that's football. I'm not going to sit here and kill the kid for a fumble. Yeah. It happens. Everybody fumbles. Adrian Peterson fumbled. Barry Sanders fumbled. It's a fumble. I get it. But it's like, dude, drop back, read defenses. And you watched him all game. He looked skittish. He didn't look comfortable. And I feel like he's trying to prove a point. Like, watching him makes me feel like he's trying to prove he's a pocket quarterback. Like, he's trying to prove I can do this. When, dude, that's not you. We all know that's not you. The Alabama people who look through Alabama with goggles all believe in you and say, oh, he's going to be great. He's progressing. No. He's hit a ceiling. His ceiling is very low as far as passing the ball. He misses guys. He overthrows balls. Even his deep balls now his number one threat, which was a deep ball, it's not hitting. We all see that. His deep ball's not hitting. So now, what's left? Scrambling. He can't read defenses. I'm sick of this. We should have blown Michigan out by 30 if we had a quarterback. All these games that we sneaked and won, even Arkansas, we barely beat Arkansas. We barely beat Auburn because we don't have a passer. I'm sick and tired of these callers and Alabama fans calling and acting like just because you're an Alabama fan means you have to just look at the team with goggles on, with Alabama goggles on. No, it's okay to be hard on these kids. It's okay to be honest. We don't have a quarterback. We do not have a passing quarterback. He's not going to win Heisman. He's not a quarterback. Our offense is limited. Don't blame Tommy Rees. He can't call everything. He wants to drop back and read, and go through progression 1, progression 2. But unfortunately, we have a freshman left tackle who cannot pass block for his life. But he's a freshman. I get it. Our right tackle is highly overrated. He's a great run blocker, but for somehow he doesn't understand how to not let people get inside of him. I don't know. All season, people have been pass rushing inside of him. Our right tackle, 65, which is supposed to be an NFL draft pick. I don't understand it, but that's what it is. Everybody tell me he's great. I watch the games. He's mediocre, but you know what? I'm the Alabama fan who's honest, and we got our freaking asses kicked. And I hope every Alabama fan who watched that game understands where I'm coming from. I'm not hating. I'm being realistic. We got our asses kicked. That D-line was laughing from the first snap of the game to the last. It was easy for them. That's not Alabama. You know why? Because they don't fear his passing. They know Jalen Milroe cannot pass. They know. Just tee off. We need a quarterback. Stop with this Alabama goggle stuff. We keep on talking about these kids like they're the best. No, there's talent across the nation. We have the most 5-stars, but we don't develop them the same. And our O-line is soft. Our tackles were really bad, and our quarterback can't throw. I feel sorry for the defense. The defense played their asses off. I feel sorry for the defense. But that was not the defense's fault. That was purely quarterback. Not Tommy Rees. Stop blaming Tommy Rees. That was quarterback. We can't call every play. He's limited. Quarterback. That's all I got to say. I'm sorry we got our asses kicked because they're not scared of the pass. They knew what was going to happen. Someone has a below average passing quarterback. Below average passing quarterback. Let's tee off on him. And that's what they did. They teed off all game. They brought blitzes. Their D-line didn't even stop the run. They just went after Jalen Milroe. That was the game plan, and it worked because he can't pass. As soon as he sees blitz, he gets frazzled and he tries to run. But guess what? You're not faster than everybody on that field, and you get sacked. First play of the game, sacked. Because you know what the game plan was? Let's tee off on this kid. He cannot read defenses. Stop trying to stop the run. Alabama don't have great running backs. There's not one great running back there. I'm tired of us lying. We don't have a great running back. We have a promising freshman in Haynes, who I hope will get better. There's no Derrick Henrys back there. There's no Josh Jacobs back there. Stop lying to ourselves. We are an average offensive team because we don't have a quarterback. I'm tired of these lies. That's how I feel about it, Kyle.
AJ,
we got our asses kicked.
AJ,
watch that game.
AJ,
Michigan kicked our ass. They were bigger, they were faster, and they were stronger. Let's admit what we saw. We can't get better. An alcoholic cannot say, I'm not an alcoholic, if he doesn't admit he's an alcoholic, right? We are not big, bad Alabama. Michigan lined up. They looked physically bigger. They moved faster, and they pumped our offense. That's what happened. And they were laughing and celebrating from the single snap, and that's not Alabama.
AJ?
Yeah, I'm here, man. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Kyle. I'm just sick of it, man. I'm sick of us lying to each other. We keep lying to each other.
How long you been wanting to say that, man? That's been on your mind since the first, huh?
Kyle, I'm emotional about this, man. I hate that we keep lying to each other, man. We're not big bad Alabama. We're not. We're not big bad the big bad boys in the playground anymore. We're not. And part of it is because we have no pass threat. We have, if Mac Jones was back there, Kyle, I put it on my life, the score would have been 54 Alabama, Michigan 21. With the amount of weapons we have back there, Tommy Reese is limited. He's nothing he can do. We have a running back playing quarterback. We have to admit this. Stop with the Jalen Milroe lies. It's a lie. He's not that good. Why am I the only one who sees this? Crazy. I feel like I'm in a mental ward where everyone sees one thing and I see the other. He's not good. I don't care what anybody says. He's not good. He's an athlete. He's fast as hell. He can break tackles. He cannot read defenses. He reads his first read and that's it. He scrambles. The game plan to beat Alabama, if anybody's listening, the game plan to beat Alabama, tee off on Jalen Milroe. Tee off on him. He's not going to pass the ball. He doesn't know where to go with the ball. He's going to get scared. Tee off on him. We see it all the time. Pass rush. Tee off. One linebacker spy, and the whole D-line, pass rush. We're done.
AJ feels
I'm
like
the only one in the whole planet.
You know what's crazy is AJ. I think there's a lot of people who would agree with you, but AJ, you know what? Have you guys ever watched the Black Mirror episodes on Netflix? AJ feels like he's like in this Black Mirror episode, and he's the only one that can see it. Look, AJ, I think a lot of people would probably see a lot of your points. A lot of people would blame a lot of different components like the whole offense or the quarterback. Let me ask you this before I get to my next caller, AJ. How frustrated were you about the center position? And do you think that the offensive line and the poor play of Seth also contributed to Jalen Milroe? How did that make you feel?
Well, Seth McLaughlin, I think that's his name, right? The kid who transferred to Ohio State.
Yes.
Listen, those snaps a good 6 or 7 of those snaps. Yes, they were. But those 6, 7 snaps did not make up the game, man. Listen, he's snapping that ball so fast because he knows what that D tackle, that one technique or that zero technique, he knows what they're doing. They're coming. They're not looking out for the run. They're not getting their fits and reading. No. Why? You know what's going to happen. Tee off. He's trying to get the snap off so he can block his man real quick because they're not reading the freaking gaps, man. He has the one technique. He knows he's outside the center. Tee off. If he's on the zero technique, just blast him back. Because he's trying to get that ball off, so it's our quarterback, man. I'm not blaming anyone else. I watched that game 3 times, Kyle. I watched that game 3 times. I'm sick to my stomach. I didn't even watch the national championship. I don't care about Michigan. I don't care who won. We know Alabama's better than Washington, and we know Alabama's better than Michigan. We watched Michigan outplay us and barely won. We know we're the best team in the country, but we don't have a quarterback. That's the only thing Alabama is missing, I swear to you. We have the receivers. We have the line, kind of the line. But the line has to play a certain way because our quarterback can't read defenses. We have the backs. We have a D-line. We have bookend outside backers who can rush anyone. We have above-average corner play. We have above-average safety play. We have above-average linebacker play. You understand? We have that boy 96. Or 98, 96. Oh, man, he's a beast. I'm excited about we have above average defense. We have an above average roster and good receivers. We have a below average quarterback. That's why our season was what it was today. I'm sorry to all Alabama fans listen to this. You're going to tell me I'm hating or I'm a fake Alabama fan or I don't know what I'm talking about like you've been doing all year. I have receipts. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just a New Yorker. I'm not even from New York, but I'm just a New Yorker. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm a fake Alabama fan, and everything I said came to light. Below average quarterback cost us a natty. Stop with this nonsense. I hope he doesn't start next year. I hate the fact that he's probably going to start next year. I really think Ty Simpson should start, man. I really think a full camp, a full spring game, a full spring and a full camp with with Ty Simpson knowing, okay, I'm the man. This is my offense. You give that kid a full spring and a full camp. I'm telling you, watch 3,000-something yards passing, 30-something to 40-something touchdowns, and we win the natty. But if we go back to Jalen, it's going to be the same thing. Scrambling for no reason, can't get to his second or third read, and we're going to be sitting up here, and I'm going to call you, Kyle, and you're going to sit here and tell me, well, AJ, look at his stats, his percentage. Look at his rating. Meanwhile, it's like, what's a rating when we're scoring 20 points? Great rating, but we have 20 points against Arkansas. Yeah, thanks. Come on. We should be blowing these teams out with our talent, man. Ty Simpson, the kid from high school, Julian Sang, he looks tiny. I don't know what happened. I don't know if he works out. I don't know what's going on with. He looks tiny as hell. I don't know if he's ready. His arm looks good, but he looks very, very, very small. I think Ty Simpson is ready. Ty Simpson is our next quarterback. God willing, roll damn Tide.
All right, AJ, I'll catch up with you in the next round, man.
Yes, sir.
All right. AJ calling in from, he was hot. AJ calling in from New York. We got a 470-661, a 661 and 256. That's going to be on a lot of people's minds going into this spring season is the fact that you have, I think, still a lot of people that don't believe in Jalen Milroe because he didn't win a national title for Alabama. I think there's going to be people that side with AJ a lot more than. So I felt like during the season, there was almost a percentage where Jalen Milroe had probably won over like 70% of the fan base. And then I think because Alabama didn't win the title, and I think because Alabama regressed in the Rose Bowl, and I think these two added facts, and AJ did hit on this, and I agree with this, is the deep ball wasn't there in the SEC title game, and it wasn't there in the Rose Bowl. And I think a lot of that was because Georgia's secondary is really good. So is Michigan. Like they they did a really good job taking away the deep ball. And I think that Tommy Rees, along with Jalen Milroe, they didn't execute at the highest level in the Rose Bowl. I mean, there was some, let's call it what it was. I mean, there was some times where Jalen Milroe wasn't overly accurate in the SEC title game and in the Rose Bowl. But with that said, Jalen did put the team on his back in the SEC title game in that last drive and was able to put together a score, right? In the Rose Bowl, that 4th and 3, everybody's kind of pointing to different people. It was a team loss. The center has a lot to do with it. The offensive line was completely beat up. AJ was saying that Michigan bullied Alabama. They bullied everybody. What did Michigan finish out with on total defense? Was they number 1 in the country? Somebody else said that they were a really experienced team. But there was someone else in the comment box that said that some of Seth's snaps came in critical moments, like a bad snap at 4th and 3 against Michigan came at the worst time. And Jarvis is saying, how did Alabama get to the 4th and 31? It was another, miscue snap that put Alabama in that position. So I don't know. I mean, there's going to be people that side with AJ. I'm sure we're going to get AJ to continue to call back. I actually like to hear some of his takes. Certainly, emotional caller, passionate caller. Those are the type of callers that we want. We want to be able to hear everybody's different points of view. Because if it was just one-sided, it would be pretty boring. I mean, clearly things aren't going right. Otherwise, Alabama would have the national title and would be gearing up for another parade here. But they're not right. I mean, Alabama hasn't won a national title in 3 seasons. Yeah, spoiled fan base, absolutely. But something needs to change. Alabama needs to get back to the national title. They need to win that national title. And it's not all sunshine and roses. Trust me, the weather out here sucks. We should be getting ready for a parade. And last night we watched Michigan go 15-0. We go back to the phone lines, 470. Thank you very much for calling in. I appreciate you joining us today. You're on line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on line with and where are you calling in from?
What's up, Kyle? It's Chance from Georgia.
Hey, what's up, Chance? I appreciate you calling in, man. Thank you very much, man. Welcome to the show.
Absolutely, bro. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I had to come to Alabama. Actually, I'm here right now. I had to bring my mother-in-law home. So I'm like probably 45 minutes from Tuscaloosa right now. Yeah, I watched that game last night, and, man, Michigan's defense is legit, bro. Like, they ain't faking at all. Like, they were getting after Penix. Like, and the same thing happened for them last night that happened for us. Our defense kept us in the game, but, we just couldn't operate on offense. And I don't think Tommy Rees had a bad call. I think that, but he was always working from 3rd and 15, 3rd and 20, and we were always behind the sticks, no matter what we did. So you can't, you gotta be cautious in your game calling when you're behind the sticks that much in a game. You can't never stay ahead. You can't get all gidgety and dive into your bag. You gotta. It was bad though. And your boy AJ from before. I mean, I sit here and listen to every word he said. You know me, Kyle. I've been a huge advocate for Jalen Milroe all year. You know what I mean? Like, but I have to agree with AJ, man. I mean, I think that Jalen has reached his ceiling. Like, his decision making, like, even after so much time, like, it's still not there. It's, like, that last play that would have kept us in the overtime, all he had to do was follow his left guard. Jaden Roberts pulled and he had a clear shot. But we can do a lot of what ifs. But I think Ty Simpson will beat him out. I really do. I mean, I wish that Milroe would improve because I love a dual threat quarterback, and he brings that, and I think that he can be special. But I don't know. I don't know if it's because he's out of Alabama. I don't know if he did good somewhere. I don't know.
See, and this is the thing, but, like DR332 inside the comment box saying a low snap throws timing off. That's the thing. Like, some of these timing issues that they had, I think, against Texas A&M, against Auburn, and I'm not making excuses. Just like, if these snaps,
No, I mean, you're totally. you're totally right, bro. I mean,
Yeah.
Seth McLaughlin has got to, like, he's got to he's to blame for most of that. Go look at every single game, which I know you have, and on every drive, he's got at least 2 bad snaps. Whether Milrose's having to pick them up at his feet or somewhere like that, you know, like he never got. And I don't know what it is. For some reason, when we show up to play Georgia, we show up. But see, Georgia didn't rush us like Michigan did. I mean, Michigan came after us, and we just looked lost. But
Yeah.
I know. I mean, I'm just saying though. Like, there's this. Like with Milroe, when he went, he slid right before the first down in the Rose Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he usually lowers his shoulder and just trucks him, dude. But instead, he slid down right before the first down.
Mm-hmm.
Even Kurt Herbstreit and Chris Fowler were like, "What? What was that?" You know,
Yeah.
like I want him to do well, man. I really do.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
really want.
I think, I mean, everybody does. Yeah, everybody does. And I think everybody wants to see continued improvement and progression. And it's hard to see that improvement and progression when you're playing. Like, think about the last 3 games that Alabama played in, right? Think about the kind of the magnitude of each of those games. Auburn, then Georgia, then Michigan, right? And think about those defenses and the defensive coaches that he faced in those games. Think about the offense too. The offensive line, and look, I didn't, and I said this before. I don't think Jalen Milroe was overly accurate in the SEC title game, but he still willed them to win. Against Michigan, there were some times where I thought Michigan secondary. Look at last night; they're good. They're really good. Went up against Washington.
They are good. They are good.
They're really good. Yeah, and that defensive line, nobody could block them. Alabama couldn't block, Tennessee? Or maybe they actually didn't have a sack in that game. But I'm saying, like, overall, they struggled. They were too inconsistent. And then, but I think, look, with Ty coming back, certainly the coaches talked to Ty Simpson, and they were like, come back, and at least battle for the position. I think it's going to be Jalen Milroe, who is the starter. Towards the beginning of the season, he'll be the starter in the springtime, but who knows? I mean, the best has to play. And if AJ is right and AJ says that Milroe has hit his ceiling, I don't think so. I think Milroe will continue to improve. I mean, he just turned 21. Michael Penix is 23 years old, about to turn 24. There's a big age difference. JJ McCarthy's played in a ton of games compared to Jalen Milroe. I think that Jalen Milroe improves as a quarterback. Look at that. We've heard this before. With Jalen Hurts. Remember, people did not want Jalen Hurts to start. People did not want him to play. Look what he's been, maybe not this season. I know that the Eagles kind of falling off the route. I mean, they're still in the playoffs. But Ed is saying he looked pedestrian last night. I think it's because Michigan's defense was so damn good. Like, their defensive front, they're phenomenal. They're good.
They are, dude. They bring them stunts, and they twist and turn, and they're not scared. They will live and die by getting after your ass.
Hell yeah.
And
yep.
What great team, what is the recipe for winning a national championship?
Defense.
Good defense.
Defense.
Good defense and run game.
Yep.
That's all you need. Like J.J. McCarthy ain't shit. He had 140 yards last night. That was it.
Wow.
Like,
yep.
Like, he's not. So, I mean, and we have that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what we're going to do with the offensive line. I mean, if Seth McLaughlin, if he goes to Ohio State and doesn't have a bad snap, I'm going to lose my shit. That just blows my mind.
Oh my God, that is such that you're.
But watch, he'll go to Ohio State and he won't have not one bad snap, not one. He will be like, a first rounder, first one took off the offensive line, for the draft or something next season, like.
Oh my God. Can you imagine if he goes over there and he doesn't have one bad snap? People are going to lose their mind. They're going to lose it.
He won't watch.
Yeah, no.
He'll be all good. It'll be all great.
All right, Chance. I got to bounce to my next. I'm trying to wrap up my next couple callers, man. So call again next time, man. But I like your points and good catching up with you.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Rapping with you, man. Later.
See you, Chance. Later. And do you imagine if Seth McLaughlin goes to Ohio State and he's just like the most incredible center, no bad snaps? People are going to be pissed. People are going to riot 100%. All right, we got a 661. Let's get it in. Hey, thanks for being patient. You're on line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on line with and where are you calling in from?
Hey, Cal, Quincy, Fort Worth. What's going on, brother?
What's up, Quincy? I appreciate you, man. Thank you very much for joining me this morning, or kind of turning into 11 a.m. on this Central Time. But anyways, man, thanks for joining the show. Take it away, man.
Yeah, this is probably before everybody's time because I'm in my mid-40s. But if I go back to AJ's call, I have to say, rack him. That guy, that guy's passion, dude, just incredible. And I have to agree with many of the things that he said. And you as the host, you shouldn't have to protect our feelings as Alabama fans. We just need to deal more in reality. I think some of the places where his emotions, spoke louder than what the actual reality might be is the responsibility of all the players to execute. Because I look at the offensive line, and we can go back, we can watch the game together. I coached football for a while, nothing worth bragging about. But when you have offensive linemen on a pass play that aren't taking care of their responsibilities, I mean, your inside gap is where it starts. And so you look at our inability to block up the middle, and if you look at what Tommy Rees, you script those plays to begin the game. And so what are we going to do? We're going to pass. We're going to go straight at the strength of their defense when we have that stable of running backs. We had success on the perimeter. And I'm like, Tommy, what are you doing? But I have to agree with so many things that AJ said. And I think Tommy and Jalen limited each other in their ability to have success because they couldn't game plan like Milroe's progression. I disagree. I believe that Milroe has, with AJ, that Milroe has progressed probably one of the best progressions in a player, a quarterback that I've ever seen. Been watching college football a long time. Whether he's hit his ceiling or not, I don't know, but I am concerned about his ability to make decisions quickly. Because he tends to hold on to the ball too much, but
Quincy,
the guy got sacked.
my question to that, and I think you bring up a really valid point. But my question to that was, how much of that was because they were just flying through the offensive line, like defenses, like whether that was, the Michigan specifically, right? Like how much of the pressure from Michigan, made Jalen, come up with sporadic plays or whatever.
Yeah, I think it was one of the leading indicators of why we failed. And that's if you do not have time to throw the ball and process, and you're laying flat on your back. What's that graphic that's floating around the internet that shows that Milroe was sacked 49 times? And that's more than what the top other 3 or 4 teams combined. They had 48.
That's crazy. Yep.
Some of those could be Milroe's fault for holding on to the ball too long. But I largely said this guy needs to get his backyard football game up and running. His ability to say, hey, I don't have room. Let me go make a play. And we did see it in spurts. But I looked at it and said, hey, I think he regressed, and that the offense regressed in the last 3 games as a whole. And my concern was that they were going to say, oh, it's Michigan. They haven't played anybody. They're the Big Ten. We want Texas. And much like, they looked past Auburn, in my opinion, I feel like they kind of looked past Michigan and they failed to execute because I think the coaching staff prepared them well. Nobody's better at preparing players than Nick Saban. So I look at it as a means of a failure in execution because you can only prepare the guys so much. And there's some failure in prepping for the game because I'm not going to go directly at the best defensive line in the country in college football and try to pass. I'm going to use my running backs so that I can manage or mitigate their aggression. So I didn't understand why we did that. But when it's all said and done, we had the football in our hands. We had the opportunity to win. The defense did what they needed to do. And then we could not close the deal. It reminded me of Texas. Texas begged us to win the game, and we couldn't close the deal. and save the miracle pass at Auburn, we couldn't close the deal. Thank God we got it and we beat those chumps, but we couldn't close the deal. So I'm looking at it going like, we have, obviously, Coach Saban has had so much attrition, and now his disciples are out coaching. But I see the point of hiring a Tommy Rees. You need a diamond in the rough. You need somebody who's going to stick around, somebody that can grow with the program so that you can get some continuity. And I'm in your camp to say, I think the moment, if you said this, I know somebody said it, I think the moment was bigger than Tommy Rees.
Yeah.
But him and Milroe had to grow together, and they were limited by each other because look at the weapons we have on the outside.
Really, I think that is a great point. Yep, 100%. I like that.
So I don't understand with the running backs we have why we don't run split backs, why we don't utilize our tight ends more, why don't we put 2 tight ends on since we're having trouble blocking for the guy and give him the opportunity to make more plays.
Yeah.
We're begging, we're calling for the ghost of Lane Kiffin to come back and say, somebody run a jet sweep. Somebody.
And you know what? I did. I think that Alabama ran how many jet sweeps this year? Maybe under 5. One was to Amari Knobloch. One was to Kendrick Law, and I like those. Didn't one of them go for a touchdown that was called back? Did I miss on that? Wasn't there?
I think you're on the money. It went for a big play or a touchdown.
Yeah, and then it was called back because there was a holding call or something like that. Chat, let me know. Was there a jet sweep that went for a touchdown? I think, Frankie's saying, Deontay. Those are the type of things that I'm talking about. When I talk creative, that's what I'm talking about. Maybe that's not overly creative, but I'm not asking for reverse passes and all this crap. I don't like that. I'm talking about is shifting players, motion, and kind of setting the defense to an off-balance position, something like Michigan was doing to Alabama in the Rose Bowl. Yeah, so there you go. Dustin is saying it was against Auburn. Thank you. I appreciate it, chat, because that's what I'm talking about. Like Kendrick Law, not getting him the football is a travesty. Not getting Isaiah Bond the ball, a travesty. Like Big Play Burton was going to get his, but I think that, 7 touches minimum for Bond and for Kendrick Law. Kobe Prentice is going to do his, pick up your first down, your slot wide receiver, but those guys need as many touches. Those guys are playmakers, 1,000,000%.
Yeah.
All right, Quincy, I gotta wrap up because I gotta get another call in, man. But I appreciate you calling again because I really think you bring up some really good points, and I always appreciate rapping with you. Anyways, I know you got a lot of good stuff going on, man. So a really good point on Milroe and Tommy Rees and kind of them limiting each other. I think that's a great point, man. But I'll catch up with you next time, okay?
Thanks, Kyle. Roll Tide. Thanks for doing the show, buddy.
Yeah,
we
absolutely,
appreciate
man.
you.
Take it easy, man. All right, this 256 is gonna be my last caller, and then I'll get to you guys. If I didn't get to you guys today, I'll get to you guys tomorrow on Wednesday. But this 256 is gonna be our last caller of the day. Hey, welcome on in. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who I'm on the line with, and where you calling in from?
Hey, Cal. This is Keith from Huntsville.
What's up, Keith? I appreciate you calling in, man. Welcome to the show, man. Take it away.
Yeah. It's one of my first times listening to it. It's really enjoyable. Appreciate what you're doing. I just have a question.
Yeah.
When we're talking about the offense, not to jump on the quarterback situation or to jump away from it, but it makes me think about the offensive line. Toward the end of the season, right? It seems like one of our best offensive linemen was number 77, and that guy didn't even see the field in the first couple of games, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
And then you think about continual problems with centering and the snout associated. It makes me wonder, who's watching the offensive line, right? Who didn't see that number 77 was so much better than the guy that started over him to start the season, right? Who's seeing the center snouts and not fixing it? It not to point fingers at the offensive line coach, but it does make you wonder, you start the season with a unit that is supposed to be one of the best units on the team. And, their performance didn't really indicate that at all. Matter of fact, they probably finished the season as one of the poorest units on the entire team. So it makes you it makes you wonder, who's really watching the shop when it comes to the offensive line, and not to add another point about the offensive line, but the size of the offensive line, that was really a note coming into the season that was really expressed a lot about how they were the heaviest offensive line, and like in the country, and they were heavier than a lot of the NFL offensive lines. Who's looking at that and going, college football has kind of changed, and we need to be able to block these edge rushers, and so it seems to me a lot of the problems not taken up for Tommy Rees or taking up the quarterback, but it seems like a lot of the problems kind of stem from the lack of consistent good play by the offensive line.
Yeah,
and I was just wondering what your thought was on that.
Yeah, I appreciate you calling in. I have a picture right now of Jaden Roberts. Who missed this guy walking around the locker room, right? They're like, how did this guy, how is he not in the fold? Like, from what I understand and talking to other guys like on the team, they said like Jaden Roberts is the absolute Hulk. So like, how was he not starting at the beginning of the season? Probably turned out to be Alabama's best offensive lineman, right? You're talking about a ceiling. My goodness, thank goodness he's coming back. Yeah, absolute Hulk. Yeah, that's coaching. That's what is so frustrating is who was missing, and maybe that just tells us that either T. Ferg couldn't understand the overall schematics of the offense because he could have. I thought he would be in the center. I think it also tells us because Darian Dalcourt was still here too. Maybe he just wasn't. Maybe I guess Seth beat him out because Darian Dalcourt was on board. He was a graduate here. He was still on board, and then you had James Brockemeyer. So maybe Seth was just there was nobody else to play the center position, which is unbelievable because now people are starting to talk about Ola Selin, the player from Finland, who could be moved to, I guess, center. I don't know if that's true, but people are saying it. So usually where there's smoke, there's fire. I don't know. That's on coaching. And usually Coach Saban has his pulse on every single aspect. That's what's so, like if you were to ask Saban, and I don't even know how you would word that question. Like, why didn't you, I guess he would just be straightforward and be like, why wasn't there some change at the center position, despite there being 30 bad snaps the entire season? I don't know. He's protective of his players, but at the same point, I think that really cost him a national championship game, to be honest.
Yep. Well, Cal, I appreciate all that you do. Your show, like I said, I'm kind of new to it. And,
yeah.
But really enjoy listening to your show, and keep up the good work, man. I'll jump off.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks. See ya. All right. All right, fam. Yeah, there's a lot to dive into. This Seth thing is going to be something that we dive into. Jalen Miro is going to be something that we continue to dive into. The next defensive coordinator, that is what we're tracking. A lot of the transfer portal movements, guys coming in, guys going out. There's a lot to track as we continue to move and navigate through January. Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. If you're new to the channel, hit the thumbs up. I really need you guys to hit the thumbs up. Like if you're on right now and you're about to break out, just literally hit the thumbs up on this video. It does a lot for me. So does the super chats, and you guys just subscribing to the content. So you guys are notified when there are live shows, when you guys are notified that there is, new videos, whatever it is right here on our YouTube channel. Yes, you're right. Eric Wolford is the offensive line coach here at the University of Alabama. I appreciate you guys. I think I'm a little bit under the weather, to be honest. I was kind of, all over the place. I've also been talking for 2 hours, so maybe that has something to do with it. But I'm good. I'm good for it. I'm built for it. And I'm built to be independent. The best thing about it is I do my own thing. Right? Like it's all on me. So I like that. I'm built for it. A lot of people aren't built for that. I am. Respect to those who are out there, doing their own thing, who are, working for themselves. That's me. So I appreciate you guys being here for 2 hours today, right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Hit the thumbs up. I appreciate you guys. I will be back tomorrow with another show talking Alabama football. Be notified. Hit the thumbs up and hit the bell so you guys are always notified when new videos drop. Remember last night, you could have got the news earlier when we broke the scoop about Kevin Steele retiring. So one more time, from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Kyle Henderson and Bama Football on YouTube. Be good people, and I will catch up with you next time right here on Bama Football on YouTube.